Two, one. Hello, welcome to the Steam Release Podcast. I'm your host, Dewey Bear, and I am here with an all-new layout, which I am quite actually happy with. There's definitely things I want to tweak. The boxes to that way. The box is that way. They're empty right now, but I've now have the format where I want to have two co-hosts. So basically a regular co-host, which will be Roadie Pie most weeks. Um, every week if she wants, but I don't want to pressure her into doing more than she needs to because I certainly can't pay her yet. I'm not making money doing this myself. So, if she wants on, she's always has an open ticket to being on. So Roadie Pie, regular. And then guest host, who I think is guest host is going to be the middle one. I don't know, because I like the idea of like main host, co-host, host, co-host, and then in between is the guest host. I don't know, like a bookend. I don't know. I was thinking like main host, co-host, and then I don't know. I'll figure it out what I like more. But yeah, the yeah, it was just I ended up what I've done. It's a sort of modified theme that I found in the theme store on Streamlabs. There was nothing that was particularly ideal, so I kind of had to Frankenstein things a bit. Shrink stuff, resize stuff, change some fonts, some colors, some shading, and it's still not quite where I want it to be, but you know what? This is a work in progress, so I'm happy where it is right now. So yeah, if you're one of the people who have saw it before, I would love to hear your thoughts. You can always check the VODs to see what that looked like before. Personally, I think this looks a lot better. I know that for some people, the fact that the screen is not centered might give you a little bit of OCD. I don't know what to do about that. I'm not really a graphic designer. I have a few possible options. For example, I could move the chat box up over the text window, and then I don't know. I'm not sure what I want to do. I'll figure it out. So yeah, but for someone with no real, well, not none, but not a whole lot of artistic talent, this is what I was able to work with. Yeah. I guess that was the introductions. I sort of got ahead of myself, but what did I play this week? And also, chat, what did you guys play this week? I currently have this title up here. It's called Crown Takers, which is a game that I have not played for a very long time. Just it never really clicked with me when I first tried it out. But you know what? A lot of games have done that, including games like like Terraria, which is now starting to click with me. There's games like Bastion, which I just was not interested in at all. But I do not regret checking it out and playing it, because Bastion is, I wouldn't call it one of my favorite games, but it's definitely a worthwhile purchase. It's an easy recommendation from me. So yeah. Just Cuphead. Oh yeah, you've just been playing Cuphead? Good. Cuphead's really, really fun. I, of course, have been playing copious amounts of Final Fantasy XIV. I do hope to get completed. I just finished the 2.0 storyline, so now I'm in the 2.1 to 2.5 stuff. But now I'm leveling a black mage because why not? I'm leveling a black mage. And I don't know, my Dragoon's getting ridiculously over leveled at this point. So yes. I might as well, be getting experience on a character that needs it more. And yeah. Any other information? I already talked about the new layout. So with the new layout, I've been kind of thinking something to bring us into the new year. To kind of recap, I kind of want to do a sort of recap episode of some sort. of the games that came out in 2018, even games that yes came out before I started the podcast. I am I am actually very interested in how I would do that. I've come up with a few possible schemes. I definitely want to highlight the top reviewed games, and don't mean top number reviews, but top ratio of reviews. Like, what are the games that came out in 2018, with a reasonable amount of reviews, over 20 at least, that have the highest average score, and maybe mix those in with some personal highlights of things that came out this last year, just to sort of give this overall feeling of like, hey, this is the best of 2018 in various different categories. Like, we might do pixel art games, horror games, especially since I don't particularly talk about horror games on the show, and it would be kind of an award show, but I mean, we don't really have any awards. I'm certainly not going to make a graphic for it. I just want to sort of also talk about, like, hey, these were games that we talked about and thought would do well, and see whether they actually did do well or not. Whether we had hits or misses. Oh, it's something to satisfy my curiosity, and I definitely want to do it sometime in January, because this year isn't over yet. But yeah, I think it would be cool as well. I think it would be a neat thing to sort of recap the last year. So yeah, it wouldn't be really the own award show, really, because I mean, it's not like these developers would be particularly interested from any particular accolades from us, and it's really just like more of an informational thing. It's like, these are the games that won big this last year. Yeah. With that, I think I can go ahead and start the release list. So, starting with Monday, November 10th, we have a game that's been in early access for a very long time, but it did finally come out of early access this week. It is Dusk, and unfortunately, this is one of those that has like a stream up top. Get out of there. Okay. So, I also need to turn on the volume a little bit. So as you can see, this is a Doom-like game. It has that sort of Doom aesthetic. You have the 3D, the very like old-fashioned 3D. The neat thing about this is the highest rated game that's has a horror tag that released this year on Steam. It's incredibly popular. It's incredibly well reviewed. This was a huge hit this year. I believe it came out in early access early this year. If you believe so. But yeah, it was from before I started the podcast. But this game did really well. It definitely didn't attract my attention at all. But when I looked at it and go like, oh wow, people love this game. It was impressive. It's developed by David Szymanski. That's me thinking I know how to pronounce Polish, but I probably don't. I have enough people with Polish friends that I can make some pretty approximate guesses, because they'd correct me on how to pronounce their names, but you never know which of those names are like, oh, this is how we pronounce it because we're fifth generation Americans, so we don't even pronounce it right, kind of thing. But yes, David Szymanski, he's developed Dusk. Before this, he also made Wolf Autumn, Finger Bones, Music Machine. He seems to largely do kind of sort of retro 3D artwork in his games. He definitely doesn't try to be high graphics crazy. It's all about a focus on the gameplay. And he's got a very good reputation. All 5 of his games have been hits. The most recent one being his biggest hit. So as an indie developer, I think his profile is only going to increase from here on out. So, you know what? Best wishes, my man. Imagine he probably worked with some other people on his team as well. But It does. It at least seems to be a one man task. That's cool. So, considering a game that goes completely off my radar, I don't know. Like, if I'm gonna jump into a Doom-like game, it might be this one. It will cost you a good $17. That's on a discount, of course. But at the moment, $17. I can't give the British pound amount at the moment. But yeah, it's a good game. It's a good game. It's incredibly positive. One of the top games to come out this last year. So in any list, if we would make any list like that award shows talking about, Dusk would probably be one of the games we'd talk about. Okay. And our oh, and it can run on a toaster because of course it can. So that is our only game from Monday. So for Tuesday, November 11th, we have Desert Child.
Where do you come from?
Oh, so many games that I have like active streams up. So Desert Child is a sort of post-apocalyptic game where, you know, Earth is basically dying and everyone's trying to get to Mars. Now, there used to be like a sort of free trip to Mars you could earn, but that's getting cut back because they're running low on funds. So you're basically some of the last people on Mars, and you're just one of them, and you just want to get off Mars. So you have apparently these competitions and such. It's got great pixel art. It's really, you know, it's really stunning, colorful, and pretty. It's got this just really neat theme, great music, and it's stunning. I noticed this game back earlier this year when it first showed up on the release list. It wasn't released, it was an upcoming game. But, oh, this game looks great. And it seems to have quite a bit of variety to the gameplay, because there's racing, but then there's also dialogue systems and some point-and-click elements. It's just got a lot, and unfortunately it hasn't really gotten the traction that I think it probably deserves, with only 8 user reviews. But it's yeah, I'm very intrigued by this. It is probably going on my wish list, even though as someone who's not particularly keen on the post-apocalyptic genre, I think this one has at least some interesting ideas. So just sort of thematically, I'm gonna, you know, I know most people, particularly right now, post-apocalyptic is a very popular genre, but it's never appealed to me. But yeah, seems to be what, 3, 5, 6 hours long. It may depend on, you know, how good one is at the game. It's not a particularly large game, but it's only going to cost you about $12. You can also buy the soundtrack, for those of you who like soundtracks, Justin. Yeah, you can also buy the soundtrack separately. And that's how you know a game is like, hey, we've got good music, you should buy our soundtrack. Yes. The Desert Child. It's going on my wish list because it's just got too much style. Oh, too much style. I just need to check it out. Next, we have Kingdom 2 Crowns. Now, if you're on Steam, you would have to be blind to have not noticed the first Kingdom game. It's one of, for a while, everyone was streaming it, basically. It's one of the most popular, it's like a strategy game, but it's on sort of the linear 2D situation where you're just on a flat plane and you build up your fortresses in a 2D environment. And it's got a variety of, you know, building up, and I've not played the first one myself, but just want to make sure everyone is aware the second one is out. Now, it's currently reviewing at mostly positive. I wonder if it is reviewing higher than the original game, so only 73%. Let's, how well is the original game rated? I think, okay, Kingdom New Lands, is rated overwhelmingly positive. So this one, the second one, is not as popular, although there is something to be said, particularly in the Steam community, that I've sort of seen, is that there tends to be a bias against sequels. Even in situations where I found that the sequel is objectively better in almost all aspects, but, you know, people don't like change. They're certainly familiar with a certain amount, and they don't want that to change, but at the same time, they want you to, you know, change up the game enough that it feels like a sequel. So it's a sort of paradox. But from what I can tell, it seems to be a lot of the same sort of game, with a bit of a more varied color palette. They're definitely putting that money that they made off of the first game to work, as it seems, I don't know, there's something about it that I feel like maybe the frame rate is higher for the sprites. The artwork definitely looks a step up, even though the first game is certainly a looker. This game definitely looks more. I can't really just describe it any further. So yeah. It is, this is another toaster running game, because it is a pixel art. Gotta love pixel art, don't you? Yeah, this one, now the original New Lands has a lot of replay value, so you can play it for hundreds of hours. This one, so far, people are getting like 25 hours, 10 hours, 26 hours, so you're gonna get a lot of time out of this game, probably, assuming you like it. I would still recommend reading through the reviews to get an impression. I did not check out the first game. Still not super sure. It definitely has the aesthetic I like. I'm just not as keen on sort of this RTS mechanic, even though it is on a sort of 2D plane, so maybe it's easier? I don't know. I'm terrible at RTS. But you know what? If I'm gonna try out an RTS, it's probably gonna be this game. Sort of strategy. It's not RTS competitive, it's like a single player RTS. So, oh, and there's also Kingdom Classic. Interesting. Is Kingdom New Lands just this game with, well, why not? Maybe Kingdom New Lands is just this game with expansions? Oh. Yeah, you know what? That's probably what this is it just builds on to the original game. Anyhow, there is the new Kingdom game. And our final game for Tuesday, November 11th, is Slightly Heroes. This is a VR lobby hero shooter. So you're basically these weird superheroes with kind of, at times, strange superpowers. It definitely doesn't take it so seriously at all. And it's, you know, just seems like a fairly fun VR game. That's where I was going with that. I've seen some of these work out, actually. VR is starting to find its ground in more action-packed gameplay. I imagine this still has its janky bits, because it's VR. It's gonna be quite janky. But, you know what? It's cool. It's got a nice aesthetic. It didn't show frame drops in the trailer, which is more than you can say for a lot of VR titles. That's one thing that always confuses me, is when a game, or any game, even if you have like FPS drops in your game, why would you feature those in your trailer? I don't know. It just shows an additional like level of not care. But yeah, it looks fun. I do not have a fully functional VR system. I have the PSVR, but I need the PS camera, which, because I'm in the middle of moving now, I just don't want to spend extra money. So, y'all can't see it, but there's just boxes stuffed in the corner because I am packing up my entire life to move cross country. But that is a side thing. Slightly Heroes, it of course gonna need VR. And because you're going to need VR, you're going to need a pretty decent gaming PC. Not the highest end, but you're going to need a VR-ready gaming PC. So you have a banana gun. So clearly this is the best game. But yeah, this is from Hat Rabbit Entertainment. They also did Merry Snowballs. There's a couple years ago, they did a snowball fighting game, which has, somewhat good reviews. Not a whole lot. That is definitely the trial of being a VR game, is you severely cut down on your consumer base. But you know what? Kudos to them to keep plugging along. Wednesday, November 12th. With the end of that, end of Tuesday, we're on to Wednesday. There's this lovely game called Heartbeat, which of course has an original soundtrack for you, Justin. But I don't know, the chiptune, I mean, that's an okay melody. I don't know if that would get annoying after a while. So this is sort of it's kind of like Pokemon, but it sort of turns it on its head, where the Pokemons are very much characters and they can take charge, and your human character is really just more of just a member of your party. So you can collect different members of your party, and it's more like a Final Fantasy game with definite strong homages to Pokemon, which is, it's cool. It's got that nice style. I'm always down for another game like this, and this one seems to have a lot of love and effort put into it. So I am very interested in this title. It immediately grabbed me when I saw it, and I'm like, well, this is going on my wish list. So it's going about $15, and ton of sprite work went into this. I'm hoping some of the backgrounds aren't too close to Nintendo assets, though, because they could have Nintendo down their throats real quick. It looks like it is approximately an 8 or 9 hour long game. Oh, this person has 36 hours. Oh, 38 hours. So this is a professional review to be updated after I finish the game. So he's like 38 hours in, maybe hasn't finished. This did only come out a few days ago, so it could be 38, 40 hours long. Nice. It's not an early access, it's fully out, and ooh, I actually really like this chiptune. Oh, that's pretty good. The assets look great. They've got a good, consistent art style, which is another thing that's really nice. Even Pokemon's kind of falling down in that area of maintaining a consistent art style. This one, they seem to, and it makes for a really pleasant looking game. This is made by Chumbosoft, which this is their first game on Steam, and I would say, welcome to Steam. I would love to see more of this type of game. I am very much a weeb at heart, and this just pushes all the right buttons for me. So that's Heartbeat. The next game on the release list is Super Animal Royale. So Super Animal Royale, it's of course a battle royale game, but it is isometric, and you play as cute forest animals, just murdering each other, which... how is there a better way to spend an afternoon? So there's been a few isometric battle royales out already. This one definitely seems to be more quality than a lot of the previous ones I've seen. No frame drops, smooth animations, well done artwork for the map, and overall, what I've mostly seen in the reviews is people are fairly happy with the smooth controls. So it's just a good thing overall. It is early access. It is going to be early access for a bit. Let me see, where was it? Okay, I don't see the... How long? Oh, 6 months. There it is. Yeah, it's always towards the top. So there are quite a few cosmetics too. and there will continue to be more. I imagine that's probably how they're going to monetize if they don't have a actual price on it. No, they do have a price on it, so maybe they won't monetize it. Okay, it looks like the price will... It's still going to be a buy-to-play game, and they're going to be offering cosmetics. So, you know, pretty standard fare for this sort of game. It seems people are getting quite a few hours of fun out of it, so it really just depends on how into Battle Royale you are. And this just has sort of a fun aesthetic to it. You know what? You know what? I'll be down for this game. Just because it's cute forest animals murdering each other.
Now to our top story. Beaver construction signs have been appearing all around the island months after Super Animal World Safari Park closed due to what legal insists.
Beaver construction, my word. Okay, so another title that has come out on Wednesday, this last Wednesday, was Insurgency Sandstorm. Now, Insurgency did have a previous game on Steam, which did very well, and holy biscuits, that's a lot of reviews. 3,800. So when I first saw this, it must have just come out because it did not have many reviews at all. But this is Insurgency. It is a sequel to the previous Insurgency game, which was Insurgency, just Insurgency. Oh, and there's also Insurgency Modern Infantry Combat. Oh, but this was just a mod. Interesting. Okay, so Insurgency, they now have Insurgency Sandstorm. These devs are veterans. This is their third title, and it is getting fairly good reviews at 82% positive. So if you are looking for another shooter, it's not something we generally feature on this podcast because shooters tend to be more the realm of consoles and AAA developers, which we don't really cover on this podcast very much, but every now and then there's a good indie shooter that doesn't look like it's just well, I don't know if they're indie. They are published. Yeah, they're not indie. They're published by Focus Home Interactive. But Focus Home Interactive, they're pretty big, but they're definitely not AAA. Yeah, they publish Vampire. So they're a AA developer. A AA publisher. Yeah. It actually looks good. It doesn't look like an asset flip because, you know, these people clearly did their own artwork. So that's always exciting to see. I'm never very keen on devs who just push out an asset flip with like gameplay. I mean, to be fair, that is what PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds was to an extent. Is that it was largely just the game mode they were selling. It certainly wasn't the art, but this game, they definitely put effort into it, so I have to give some kudos to that. Is it early access? No, this is out of early access, so no more worries about whether it's an early access game or not. If you're into shooters, give it your consideration. They do have, let me see, sequel to the character and weapon customization. I think it's mostly competitive multiplayer because they really don't mention a campaign. They may have a campaign, but they certainly don't mention it as one of the main features. This seems to be more of a multiplayer shooter type of game. Yeah. Doing pretty well. That's someone else's stream up there. And with that, that closes off the Wednesday, November 12th releases. And we are going to check out Thursday, November 13th with a game called Gris. Gris, or probably Gris, if it's French. Gris is French for gray. But Gris is a hopeful young girl lost in her own world. So this is sort of one of those artsy, thoughtful games, which is a hit or miss. It depends on whether it's actually thoughtful or pseudo-intellectual, which, you know, I can't necessarily tell from here. But it certainly is beautiful. It's got an excellent score from what I've heard, and it's got some neat sort of mechanics where you have this cloak that changes shape. It allows you to interact with the world in different ways. But my word, it's beautiful. Got platforming elements, but it's also got this sort of, this sort of story thing going on. Yep. It is definitely, oh wow, it's got over 1,000 reviews now. That happened fast. Again, this has been clearly picked up by a lot. So someone said don't trust IGN, but gave it an upvote. Did IGN give them a downvote? I wonder. Let me check in my other window. IGN Gris. Wow. So IGN gave Gris like a 6.5 out of 10. Which, I mean, is above average if you're going by that metric, but they probably don't go by that metric in that way. So... they give it a 6.5. I wonder why IGN. Not that I ever trust IGN for any game decision choices. Reviewers are really sort of pointless when it comes to consumers for the most part. Unless it's like... there's certain very particular people that I know I have similar taste to that I trust. That's who you have to find. But when it comes to like corporate game reviewers... everyone has their niche, and in games, much more so than movies, your niche may be so tight and honed in that someone else's opinion is not going to be helpful at all to you. What's coming to the Nintendo Switch? Cool, so another Nintendo Switch game. You can buy it for probably twice the amount that you can buy it at Oh my, that is pretty. Oh dang, that is so pretty. Wow. Who developed this? This is Nomada Studio? Oh, Nomada Studio makes a lot of things. Oh no, okay. They're just they're Devolver Digital. They're just published by Digital. Yep. Devolver Digital definitely likes to publish the hits for sure. I imagine it's really difficult to get Devolver Digital to publish your game because they do consistently release beautiful titles. I don't know if they're necessarily good, but they are always beautiful in their own way. Now, here we come to a game that no one's noticed apparently. At least when I looked at it yesterday. This is the game Coldfall. It still has no user reviews, but it is a short puzzle exploration side-scroller game set during the Cold War. Attempt to escape from the town before the next nuclear strike hits. So it's sort of, it's the post-nuclear apocalypse. There's a bunch of zombies out there, because of course that's what nukes do. They make zombies. It's by Charib Games. It's a sort of beautiful pixel art point and click elements, but also, some 2D platforming and shooting. It's just got this stunning visual that's really attracted me. The pixel art is just so good, and I really am curious about this game. Now that said, I'm not particularly keen on sort of this darker setting. As I mentioned earlier, I don't like post-apocalypse or, general just darker storylines. I like darker storylines and undertones to exist in games, but I don't like it to be the primary focus of the game. So, yeah. I definitely like dark subplots and even, very dark endings. But, yeah, when the whole entire game has sort of a foreboding setting, it's hard for me to get invested in it. Just a personal thing there. This game looks like it might be worthwhile, and honestly, I would highly recommend this to my co-host RoadiePie. So, yeah, I may actually just put it on my wish list for now, and it's only $3. So if it's bad, you wasted $3. They do say it is a short game though, which short could be as little as half an hour. So, don't know how short that is. But if it's a worthwhile half an hour, it's worth an Americano coffee. And the final title of today, which an excellent YouTube reviewer that I really like, Boomstick Games, reviewed this title. So I actually forgot that he still included it, but I guess I didn't find anything in the release list to replace it with. But yeah, it's got thousands of reviews as well. This was definitely a high review count podcast. More so than general, but I didn't find as many hidden gems this week, I think. Or people are finding the hidden gems better. But yes, Book of Demons. It's very positive ranking. It's sort of a Diablo crawler slash clicker. Like, it's an active clicker game, so you have to click at the certain rates at different times. Sometimes you have to slow down, sometimes you have to speed up. And it functions kind of like a board game. With roles and different events, etc., and building decks and cards. It's interesting in that way. It's kind of like a Diablo board game with clicker elements. And you know what? Kudos for putting clicker elements in your game, but not turning it into an autoplay game. Kudos for that. You're doing something different. I appreciate that.
Slash your way through my precious
dungeon. It also won't be too heavy on your computer either. It looks like people are getting 5. This did just come out a few days ago, but 5-6 hours out of it. Ooh, 10 hours. So, not sure. Mileage may vary. I have heard that it's definitely good for short play sessions. So you play, half an hour, and then you put it down for a while, which may also be why our accounts in this game are somewhat low in the review section. Yep. Book of Demons.
For in the end, you will have to face me.
And it's got this sort of neat cardboard aesthetic, which is kind of cool. Like Paper Mario almost, where you have 2D, 3D elements, where it's just this card, this sprite that sort of flips around. I don't know. It's a neat thing. It's a neat thing.
Is a hack and slash adventure distilled to its purest form.
And yeah, Boomstick. So Boomstick, if you ever heard of him, he was that fella that IGN was stealing his reviews. And basically, not just copying the video, but they were like copying his script all in sections word for word. A particular creator on their team, which is really sad because that creator was previously an independent YouTube reviewer, and the fact that he went out and stole reviews from another smaller YouTuber is pretty horrible. It's like you were in his position once. So anyhow, that's all old news. But Boomstick Games is a legit awesome guy. I'm glad that event happened because it gave me the opportunity to find him. Everyone sort of rallied around him, and now he's kind of a big shot. So hopefully he doesn't end up making the same mistake as that guy. But yeah, he's got some great reviews. His content doesn't come out all that often, but it is cool. It is cool. He's a cool guy. Yeah. So let me see. There's a lot of variety of their spells too, which is always cool. I almost always play casters in RPG games. It's probably not going on my wish list just because it's not in my area, but it'll cost you about $20. And with that is all the games that came out this week that particularly caught my attention or anything like that. You can find me, Dewey Bear, all over the internet as Dewey Bear on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. Yeah, not Tinder. Yeah, you can find me all over the place, Dewey Bear. And with that, I will probably go ahead and sign off and say bye-bye, guys. It was a pleasure podcasting for you tonight. And I hope all of you were able to find a game that you were interested in. If not, well, you know what? Next week, I will get you a game that you're interested in. That, au revoir, mes amis, and see y'all next week for what will possibly be another solo episode. but I feel proud of myself that I got a new overlay done. So, pretty happy about that. Awkward silence. Bye.